Yeah. You have a few bands that challenge the listener, lyrically speaking as well.
Absolutely.
I think that the first, okay, Blazing Under the Sky, I love it. Under a Funeral Moon, I love it. But their lyrics doesn't give me anything. While today you have those who actually challenge societies. They just use the music they probably love most to express their vision, which means that they will not turn into Bono from Dublin, Ireland, and tell the whole world, but they do their thing.
I agree. I love the cliches. I love the old school gospel, the horn style, you know, fucking old school metal Sodom style lyrics. I like that early 90s air of mysticism and air of the other that the bands were striving to achieve, whether it was Dark Throne or Rotting Christ or Emperor. They were trying to reach for something that they weren't quite sure was tangible. But now you have bands with lyrics that are genuinely very extreme. I mean, Deathspell Omega lyrics are extreme, for example, and I think it's good. I mean, I think it's important to challenge people, it's important to unsettle them, it's important to confront them with things that they maybe don't want to hear about, or, you know, I mean, black metal is supposed to be extreme. Sanitized, safe black metal is the ultimate antithesis of what it should have been, so, you know, if it's not for you, then, and I understand some of those guys, as you know, you speak to the Orthodox guys and they're like, well, you know, sometimes they're trying to force people away from the music, and you know, to a point I agree with them. That's, black metal was not supposed to be this sanitized and safe, you know. So I would wholeheartedly, you know, stand behind their right to sing about these kind of things, you know. I may not agree with everything, but then again, you know, I pick up a history book, I don't necessarily agree with a historian's interpretation of history, you know, so it's all relevant and irrelevant at the same time.
You think there's, this is perhaps a bit wicked, but do you still think there is life to black metal?
Yeah, of course, because I think that fundamentally black metal has no, for me at least, has no musical boundaries in the same way that thrash or death metal has. For me at least, it has this sonic dimension which is loosely defined as metal, and in the early 90s or late 80s, you know, Samael did not sound like Mystifier, did not sound like Root, did not sound like Impel Nazarene, did not sound like Rotting Christ, did not sound like Necromantia. I could go on, I could list you 20 or 30 more bands. And as long as people have the same desire to express themselves in this fashion, then they should understand they don't have to subscribe to the same musical boundaries. And as long as people have, as I say, this interest in the occult or the esoteric, or and then they wanted to express themselves in this way, then I think that it should continue in a way, you know, and with more life than perhaps other genres of music can, you know, that don't have a spiritual domain to it, if that makes any sense.
It does. On a final note, you recorded some vocals for the latest Marduk album.
Yeah.
You're not the guy I would think of as, oh, he is a Satanist, a black metal evil guy because of your main band. How was that?
But I think that was the point, in that if the whole point is to challenge preconceptions, then we did exactly that. Marduk fans might not expect to see the singer of Primordial turn up on a Marduk album, and vice versa. But there were, you know, I mean, I worked on a couple of tours with the Marduk guys and then became good friends with them. And when Mortis wrote this song, he wrote this song as from me to him, back and forth with the singing, and I just went to Sweden, and it came together in about 2 or 3 hours, and yeah, I'm really proud of it. It was a really proud thing to be on the album with those guys, because now that, you know, you share a certain attitude and philosophy on things, and yeah, it turned out great, and I think it did surprise quite a lot of people, you know. I mean, now I'm doing a band with the guys from Revenge and Actors of Advance, and a lot of people, perhaps in the underground, were like, what the fuck? You know, they're really surprised by that, but surely that's the very nature of the metal scene that we got into in the beginning. For me, it was, there was no strict set of boundaries in that sense. You know, not that you had to. I mean, I always hated bands that, oh, you know, we're not really into the way we used to play, blah blah blah. You know, we're into progressive music now, and oh, the new album is like, but they don't know how to play, and they got old, and you know, they had kids, and or whatever. You know, this kind of shit. But at least with, it was all about challenging preconceptions. And if somebody has a preconception about me, about what Primordial is, then I will hopefully do my best to confound that, but in such a way that no one will be able to pigeonhole you or say that you didn't mean it with the utmost sincerity or depth or integrity, you know. And so that's just been a brief history of the last 20 years. So, you know.
Thank you.
Probably. I think laughing ending is fairly apt for me, to be perfectly honest.